Robin, it is news time, but I do want to throw a bone to the guy from the National Enquirer, Mike Walker.
Okay.
Who, he's got some TV show on tonight, a National Enquirer TV show. I figured let him come on and tell us some of the big things that are coming up.
I didn't even know that was happening. Where's that?
Yeah, I like to kiss this guy's ass a little bit because I don't want to see some nasty stuff about me in the Enquirer.
You always wonder when he's going to turn.
Yeah, so like that's why I'm always nice to him. Because I really was supposed to get him on earlier, and then Gary said, hey, you were supposed to get him on, but, you know, I could blow him off. I said, no, don't blow off the guy from the Enquirer.
He's always looking.
Yeah, because that guy will kick your ass. Mike?
Yes, Howard.
Hey, dude.
You are gossip-proof. I've said this before, and I'll say it again.
Yeah, but I might get weak and cheat on my wife just one time.
No, you did. Listen, you did major kissing up. We would love to thank you for the mention in your Playboy interview, which was a great interview. You make 2 points. You're one of the only major stars who'll stand up and say the tabloid press does a good job.
It does.
More importantly, though, just...
See how I'm smart.
A major star, may I point out.
Yes, thank you. And soon to be governor of New York State.
Well, next year, I hope to see you at the Oscars. Why didn't they ask you to do the presenting?
They don't ask me because they're afraid. You know, I like that Whoopi Goldberg. Oh, they're afraid, baby, of me. They're going to...
let me get it.
I got a line. There's Whoopi, right?
You made a great point in that interview, though. You said that you wonder why other journalists aren't shocked by what's happening to you with all this FCC crap.
They're not. Would you do me a favor? Would you do me a favor?
Sure.
Would you investigate the 81-year-old man who sits on the FCC and makes decisions for people 18 to 54-year-olds, what they can hear on the radio? This does seem this seems unbelievable to me. There is a guy making wackier and wackier statements to the point where the other FCC members are now even telling the guy to shut up.
Well, your point was well taken. You wonder in the interview why journalists don't come forward more to your defense. And you say, well, they just say Howard Stern is a goof. He's not a real journalist. Freedom of speech is something that has to be protected all the time, and that's no joke. And any journalist who ignores that is very foolish.
Well, they've ignored it in my
Howard
case.
Stern, tomorrow Mike Walker, you know.
Well.
And,
that's
and then the New York Times.
Yeah, of course. And, you know, President Clinton, who I'm becoming increasingly more disappointed in, gave a speech. Robin, wait till you hear this. He gave a speech to broadcasters and went into the whole thing.
What did he say?
He was there with the 81-year-old guy who insists on telling the 18 to 54-year-old audience what they... I mean, where do you see an 81-year-old guy being in touch with what 18 to 54-year-olds should be listening to? I mean, excuse me. This is a little out of hand, isn't it? And then,
when do you get to make your own decision?
In a sharply worded speech, Mr. Clinton railed against what he described as the total abdication of responsibility by the broadcast media in this country. He went on to say that the explicit violence and sexual content and programming on the nation's TV and radio stations has irreparably damaged the moral fiber of a whole generation of young people.
Now, there's a guy who used to do what?
Yeah. But anybody remember what he was doing behind his wife's back?
This falls down completely, Howard, because Canada, for instance, gets exactly the same programming we do, and they don't have the breakdown. The breakdown can be blamed squarely, I think, on, Dan Quayle did have a point. He made it all wrong.
But he made a real good point.
Of parental responsibility.
That's right.
And anybody who doesn't like Howard Stern can turn him off. Anyone who doesn't want to read, the National Enquirer cannot buy it. Anybody who doesn't watch Beavis and Butthead
Is
can turn
the president saying that he was influenced by television to cheat on his wife?
Yeah, I guess so. And I still want to know what shows are so violent. They still won't name the network television shows that they find violent.
They never do.
Because there isn't one. And I want to know what all this sexual content is driving everyone to do.
Yeah.
I mean, God, it's just bodies loving each other, man.
Yeah.
I mean, what is this? But you know what, Mike? I said in my Playboy interview, and I really meant it, I said, I love also in the press how people like Liz Smith, they write columns and they go, oh, isn't it terrible what the Enquirer printed about Elizabeth Taylor?
And then they repeat the whole thing.
They repeat the whole story, and then she goes, it's terrible what they're doing.
The last time I was on your show, you tried to sort of bait me into saying something against Liz Smith. I will say this now.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, she did something that I thought was unconscionable. She printed in her column that the National Enquirer is about to print a story saying Liz Taylor has fallen off the wagon.
Right.
So I said, all right, let's be fair. So I went around to all the editors, plus I looked into, we have a computerized thing of every story that we're covering. And I went to everybody, and I said, is anybody doing anything about Liz Taylor falling off the wagon or anything like that?
Yeah.
And the answer was absolutely not.
Yeah.
And, you go to Liz Smith and you say, what the hell is this? I mean, here's a mealy-mouthed woman who claims that the tabloids say this and that, and yet her whole column, she wouldn't have a column if she wasn't quoting from us.
Well, there would be no column. She doesn't dig up any story.
No, what she does is she says, well, Mike Walker printed this, and I called the publicist, and the publicist said it's not true.
Right, yeah. Meanwhile, she's reprinting the whole story that you guys bust your balls to get.
Exactly.
Yeah, but if she wants to say something now, she claims the Enquirer's going to...
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Blame everything on the Enquirer. Meanwhile, the Enquirer's been dead on the money.
Well, I remember the last time I was on your show, think of it, it was about almost a year ago, and you were saying to me that this is the one time you were going to get off the train. You weren't going to believe me. You thought I was very accurate, and you remember what it was?
What was it?
You wouldn't believe Whoopi Goldberg and Ted Danson.
That's right.
Still doesn't.
I still don't.
Remember that?
Whoopi needed him there last night in blackface, I think.
Anything to get a laugh.
What did you think of her performance on the Oscar? Wasn't it boring?
I thought she was terrible. I thought some of the jokes she made, when she made that joke about the two presenters and said Oliver Stone thinks they were one in the Texas School Book Depository.
Yeah, I don't know what she was talking about.
I mean, it just laid there like an egg. What did you think of Tom Hanks' rather emotional?
Well, we did I'd say we did 45 minutes on his crying speech.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it was maybe the best 45 minutes of radio we've done in a long time.
I think he deserves another Oscar.
I don't even know what he was. What
crying
did you conclude he was crying about?
He couldn't tell what he was crying about. Something. And now, did you notice he calls his wife his lover? I think he thinks he's gay.
Well, it does. That's exactly what I said. I expected him to declare when he said Antonio Banderas is the one after my lover I would most have. I had this moment where I thought, my God, he's got a gay lover.
Yeah,
and I thought, oh no, he's talking about his wife.
Yeah, how'd you guys miss that?
Well, I mean, give us a moment here. We're looking into it. We were all on the phone this morning with each other saying, what the hell was that?
You know, I need you to investigate not only the guy, the
81-year-old man.
I need you to investigate the guy who keeps filing on me in Las Vegas.
This guy, by the way, kept calling me, and he wanted to do a story. I have never, let me say this about this guy. What's his name in Vegas?
I wouldn't even dare say
whatever.
it. I wouldn't give anybody credibility.
He called me several times, and I have never seen a guy more hungry for publicity. I got quite intrigued when I had 3 or 4 conversations, and he wanted to come on the local radio show I have in Florida, and I was so intrigued I kept saying, well, what's your point here? What do you want to do? What would you like to see? I want Howard off the air. And then he kept saying, the next breath would be, so are you guys going to do a story on me?
Yeah.
He's obviously very much after publicity. I say that without fear.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. One guy who's hungry for publicity, he found a companion in his stations. Even the other commissioners are outraged by this brutal abuse of the First Amendment.
Well, when I started asking him hard questions, and I think he sort of saw where we were going to go with this, and I won't go into where we were going to go with it. We did some investigating of his background and so forth. Once that happened, he suddenly just dropped off the scope, and I never heard from him again.
Well, I wish you would continue to investigate. That would be a great gift, Mike.
Well,
I like it. I want full disclosure of the people who have set themselves up as the champions.
Give him publicity. Tell us about his background.
Tell us everything you can find. Anyway, Mike, let's not talk about that. Let's get on to your show. You are going to have a TV show. When is that, tonight?
Yeah, it's in New York tonight. It's syndicated, so it's different times in different markets. Tonight it's New York at 8 p.m. on WOR, and then tomorrow it's 9 o'clock in Baltimore, and 8 o'clock Friday night in Los Angeles.
And it will be based on your National Enquirer story.
Yeah, it's called Secrets of the National Enquirer. It's the first time we've ever been on television. It was quite it was sort of the National Enquirer meets Hollywood, and it was quite an experience. We're pretty satisfied with the show. We have some great stuff. Ashley Hamilton, who survived that 6 months with Shannon Doherty as her husband.
Yeah.
We get him to admit finally what the rumors were, that the reason he left her was she pulled a gun on him.
Wow.
So that's pretty good.
That's a good one. What about Bert's lover? What happened there?
Oh, well, Bert, by the way, you remember I broke the story about the divorce and all of that.
Yes.
And we revealed that Pam Seals, that Tampere cocktail waitress, had been his lover for about 2 years. Well, he has just dumped her and sent her packing back to Florida, because the funny thing was about this local Florida girl, the reason Bert was nuts about her was she was a very down-home girl, cooked him grits and all that sort of thing.
Then
she goes out to Hollywood, and she thinks she's going to be going to Spago, etc. Well, as you know, Bert is almost like a recluse.
Right, he wants to
stay home.
Who
locks himself in his room and broods.
Right.
He was never taking her out. He was never home also, because he's working on Evening Shade and this movie thing he's doing. So she starts bossing around his staff at home. Everybody starts hating her. Bert gets very unhappy. So he sends her packing, right?
What keeps happening to him?
Poor Bert.
Now, Lonnie, we find out, Lonnie toasted this dumping by drinking a glass of pink champagne, and her quote was, "I can't even feel a teeny bit sorry for the bitch. She certainly didn't have any sympathy for me when she was sneaking around with Bert behind my back."
Wow. There you go, Robin. That's a good scoop, huh? That's good reporting.
By the way, on the show tonight, we also do Oprah's roots. We go back to... Yeah,
is she really gray?
You know why?
What?
She on a show with a genealogist, they were talking about slavery and how some black people have white, all of that, miscegenation. So Oprah says, you know what? I've always dreamed of going back and buying the plantation where her forebears grew up.
Yeah, I've heard her say that.
Did you hear her say that?
Yeah.
So we thought, great. So we went back for her, and we went to Mississippi, and we had this wonderful story. I mean, Oprah's family history, like a lot of people, I mean, first of all, it's a great story because her family prospered. The slave owner who owned her great-great-grandfather, Constantine Winfrey, was very kind to his slaves. In fact, when he freed them, or of course when the slaves were emancipated, they set up a farm just down the road from him. So it showed that, they liked him.
You want to be near Massa.
Right.
Yeah.
And however, Oprah has skeletons in her family closet just like everyone. For instance, her great-grandfather, who was a teacher and a preacher, brought shame on the family when he made a 14-year-old girl pregnant.
Wow. And
her great-great-uncle hid out for nearly 50 years after he burned down a house, killing a mother and two daughters.
Really?
However, overall, the family, it's been a very prosperous family, and we take you right to the plantation itself, and Oprah's cousin is living on the plantation.
Really?
Yeah, and she says, Oprah girl, she says, not while I'm here, I'd love to have you come down here and visit, but I'm living here right now, but we all love you. It's really very heartwarming. And we found the white guy.
Yes.
Who was the descendant of the slave owner. Oprah got her name from a guy named Absalom Winfrey, who was a Confederate soldier.
So the name Winfrey is after the white massa?
Yes.
Oh.
So we found the white guy, William Winfrey, a great guy. He's an accountant in Houston, about a 62-year-old man who knew nothing of this.
He didn't know he owned Oprah in a way.
He's worth how much now?
Yeah, man, that's a good slave. Boy, would you like to have Oprah's money behind you?
No, but you'll see William Winfrey, and in the show what we did was, when William Winfrey's on screen, he's a very straight man, very conservative, and he's saying, well, I think this is kind of interesting. I'd love to meet Oprah,
Mm-hmm.
So we merge the picture of the great-great-grandfather, the white guy, with his beard and everything, the Confederate soldier, and we merge, and his face comes out of William Winfrey's face, and they look incredibly alike.
And does Oprah look like them?
Oprah, no.
No, not at all.
Because there's no miscegenation there, I don't believe.
No, I see. Hey, what about Arsenio and quitting?
Well, it's all over, Howard. As you know, the ratings have been going down, and basically, of course, Arsenio has a deal with Fox.
See?
They're not going to, fire him. What they're going to allow him to do is to just make his own announcement and say that he's off to pursue other interests.
Projects.
Oh, good. It's about time.
The funniest thing about Arsenio that I found, here's another tabloid hater, and one time the National Enquirer had a commercial on his show, right?
Yes.
So after the commercial, now imagine this, here's a commercial on the show, and right after the commercial, Arsenio says, I hate that. I don't like that the National Enquirer is on my show. I think it's disgusting, and if I had anything to do with this, it would never happen, and I hate those people and all of this, right?
Right.
Well, then he comes back after the next break, and he sort of shamefacedly has to say, it was pointed out to him, Arsenio, you own the show.
Right.
Yeah.
Sign off on all this.
Yeah. You're the guy who's benefiting from all of this.
And they made him go out and say that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he deserves it. Believe me, he's a big nothing.
Did you also know, I just found out today that Siskel and Ebert were supposed to do the Arsenio Hall show, and they have refused.
Oh, really?
Oh, well, no, I didn't know
Good.
that.
I applaud Richard Belzer and Siskel and Ebert because what this Arsenio did with Farrakhan is an outrage.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll tell you something. I am King of all song parodies is going to give me a list of the sponsors. I'm going to announce the sponsors who have no problem advertising on Arsenio's show.
Mm-hmm.
Because I got news for you. This guy's a big lout.
Oh, well, yeah.
Well, can you imagine if they had, if David Letterman had Hitler on and sat there and gave a...
softball question.
Or David Duke or someone like that?
No.
Every advertiser would run.
No, it is, of course, exactly. Your analogy is perfect.
More
it would
than
be an
softball.
outrage. It would be a firestorm.
Of course, not even a softball question. It was a love-in.
Mm-hmm.
It was a love-in. It was an hour infomercial.
David Letterman would let Hitler go on, and after Hitler had ranted for 20 minutes, he'd go, wow.
Speaking of love-ins, can I just say to Robin that when I saw the special. Of course, I'm not in New York, so I don't get to see you very much. I was just again struck by what an incredibly, as well as intelligent woman you are. How incredibly voluptuous you are.
Oh yes.
And what I would like to offer.
You missed the nude picture of Robin.
Well, no, as you know, Howard, every week I run a glamour shot on my pages.
Yes.
And I would like to extend the invitation to Robin to pose for that. With
I am going to take you up on that eventually.
Yes, Robin wants to do that.
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, you have to pose. It has to be something fairly skimpy. I mean, tasteful.
Oh, believe me.
Don't you worry. I've got something in mind for you.
Let me dress it.
No, Howard, we extend the same invitation to you, of course.
Okay.
And it must be
something skimpy?
Yes.
Okay. No problem with that, Mike. All right, listen, Mike, I got to go, but tonight is the National Enquirer TV show, and what time will that air?
It airs at 8 p.m., and it's really got some great things. And, of course, I'm in there doing my gossip bit. And
what channel will that be on here
That's
in New York?
WOR, so it's, what is it, Channel 9 in New York?
Oh, boy, you're fighting a tough one there on Channel 9.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, all right, well, okay. Listen.
That's why we need you, Howard.
All right, well, I'm happy to help.
Yeah, thank you very much. And, John, your publicist still hasn't called me.
He will.
This is a guy who used to call me, Howard, and get in the column by picking up the phone and calling me.
Right.
So now he's complaining I don't put him in the column, but his publicist hasn't called me. He now has a publicist.
Yeah, it's my publicist.
And he's learning, you know what it is, John? Your publicist is probably telling you, you don't want to be in the National Enquirer. They're not respectable.
Oh, no, he would.
All right.
John's not respectable.
John's nothing. All right, I'll speak to you, Mike. All right, Mike.
Thank you.
That's
Bye-bye.
the great Mike Walker, who makes a good point. Actually, I made the good point.
Points were being made.
All right, we all made good points. Screw everything. I'm not going to sit there and ramble on. All right, let me take our last break, Robin, so we can get right to the news. We have a lot of Academy Awards
Yes, we're going to completely review.
Yes. You won't want to miss our Academy Award wrap-up. We should play the Tom Hanks thing again, too.
Oh, definitely. We're going to play all the winners.
Everyone's a winner on our show. All right.